Squares and square roots. A square root of a number is one of its two equal factors. Okay, a square root of a number is one of its two equal factors. So, let's say 144. The square root of 144 is one of its two equal factors. So, square root of square root of 144 is 12, right? Because it's 12 times 12, right? It's one of the two equal factors. 12 times 12 gives you 144. So, if x squared equals y, then x is the square root of y. Okay? So if we square root x squared, then x is the square root of y. You need to write all this down. Radical sign, okay, this is a radical sign right here, right? I will probably call it the square root sign, but the official term is a radical sign. It's used to indicate a positive square root. So square root of 36 is 6. The negative square root of 36 is negative 6. Now this is plus or minus, okay, meaning it could be positive, it could be negative. The square root of 36 is positive or negative 6. Let me show you why it's positive or negative 6. What is 6 times 6? What is negative 6 times negative 6? No. 36, right? Negative times negative is positive. So what's the square root of 36? 6 or negative 6, right? So you can have a positive or negative 6 for square root, because both give you 36. Now this right here, it says a negative number has no real number square root, because the square of a number cannot be negative. To get a negative squared, you can't do that, because it takes a positive times a negative to get a negative number, right? So how can they be equal if one of them is positive and one is negative? They're not equal, so it's not possible. So when you see something like this where it's a square root of negative 36, the answer is no real number, because there's not a number that will give you the square root of the negative 36. So here's what a lot of your problems today will look like. It'll say find each square root. What is the square root of 9? Someone raise your hand. Blaine? Someone raise your hand and tell me what the negative square root of 64 is. Mackenzie? Negative 8. Someone raise your hand and tell me what plus or minus square root of 4 is. Riley?
Positive 2.
Not just positive 2. And negative 2 as well. Okay? Now, they write it like this. If they want plus or minus right here, they'll write plus or minus in front of the square root. Next year in algebra, they won't have this, but they'll expect this. Okay? But since this is the first time you've been introduced to positive and negative square roots, the only time they want plus or minus is when they tell you. Okay? But next year, this is automatic. Okay? If they said square root of 4, you know it's plus or minus 2. All right? Any questions on that? The reason I don't write plus or minus 3 here is because the book tells you when it wants plus or minus. Okay, now if this was my algebra class and I wrote square root of 9 up here, I would expect my algebra students to do this. Okay, because it is positive 3 and negative 3. But pre-algebra, since you've just been exposed to this, they don't expect you to get it unless they put this right here. Okay? If they put this right here, then this has to be here. Okay? Alright, write this down. This says estimate each square root to the nearest integer. Okay, now is the square root of 33 an integer? Like 4 is 2, 9 is 3, is square root of 33 an integer? No. Okay? Now since this says estimate, okay, we don't need decimals, I don't need the exact number. What you do need to do, okay, is this. You need to pick two numbers that are squares that are close to the square root of 33. So what would be a number that would be close? Blaine?
5 and 6.
5 and 6, okay, but what is 5 times 5? Okay, so the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, you said 6 because what's 6 times 6? So square root of 36 is 6. Does square root of 33 fall in between this? Yes, it does. Okay, so when you're doing this, because I want you to estimate, this is how you have to write it out. You have to actually show your work on this. Okay, you have to do it just like we're doing it right now. Okay, because if you don't, I'm going to assume you use your calculator and you cheated. Okay, this is estimate, so you have to write out one that's less than it, one that's above it. Okay, what is this closest to? Square root of 6 or square root of 36 or square root of 25?
26.
Closest to square root of 36, right? So since we're rounding this integer, what should I write? 5 or 6? 6. Okay. Let's do this. Let's estimate the negative square root of 129. Someone give me a number that is close to the square root of 129. Yes. 11. What is 11 times 11? 121. So I'm going to do negative square root of 121, which is 11. What's a number bigger that would give you a square bigger than 11? Blaine?
12.
12. What's 12 times 12?
144.
So negative 144 is negative 12, right? Does negative square root of 129 fall in between here? Yes, it does. Now, someone raise your hand and tell me which one that's closer to. Negative 12 or negative 11? Pyle?
Negative 1.
It is closest to negative 11. So there's my answer. So this is when it says estimate. This is everything I have to have when you estimate. Okay? Have to show me a number bigger. Have to show me a number smaller. Okay? And then round in their integer. Expect if it says use a calculator. Use a calculator, estimate plus or minus square root of 40 to the nearest tenth. So this is the only time that you can use a calculator. Okay? For the ones that say estimate, are you allowed to use a calculator?
No.
No. How do I make sure you don't use a calculator? Huh? No, how do I know you don't use a calculator on the estimate ones? You have to show your work. Okay? So what I do, I just take square root of 40. With the blue calculators, what you do is put in 40, then hit the radical sign that's at the top. The square root of 40 is 6.32455. Now this is plus or minus because this had plus or minus. Now it said nearest tenth. Where is the decimal place? Where's the nearest tenth decimal place?
6. And the 3.
The 3, right? The first number behind the decimal is the 10th decimal place. Does this round up or does it say at 3? So the answer is plus or minus 6.3. Now let's do square root of 14. Now before we answer this, can we estimate this? Do I want to have an idea where it should be?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Okay, because if I type it in wrong, right? If I don't know I typed it in wrong, I just write down the wrong answer. Okay, someone raise your hand and tell me where this is going to be close to.
3 and 4.
Blaine, it is going to be close to 3 and 4. Which ones are going to be closer to?
4.
Okay, it's going to be closer to 4 because it's 16. So it should be 3.7? 3.8? What do you think? Around there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you do it on a calculator, you get 3.74165. Rounding to the nearest tenth, what's my answer? 3.7. Here's your assignment.